Will, welcome to the Leaders Report on the 2nd of March. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. Looking forward to doing a recap.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a recap over the last week. So we began the Better Future Festival a week ago. Well, actually 6 days ago. It's a 60-day tour. There'll be 10 of these reports where we go, so, well, what have I seen over the last week, so that we're getting that intelligence into our leader partners so that they know what's going on. What's really interesting is yesterday, a new level of chaos came into the world, which was what's been happening in the Middle East. And what's important is putting a stake in the ground and saying, well, that's at the beginning of March, because at the beginning of April last year, 11 months before that, we saw a different sort of chaos, which was about the tariffs. So what we've had over the last 11 months is this conditional change, which has been chaos associated with the US informing us that they're no longer part of the world. They're no longer going to actually be the leaders of the world. They will be the disruptors of the world, but not disrupting by new technologies, disrupting by disorder. And what I've seen over the last 6 days, as I've been traveling around to more than 20 studios and meeting with design leaders, principals in the studios, is the market is buoyant. They've all worked out how to go and filter out the chaos. They have to deal with the condition that there's some chaos in the world, but they've been able to separate the signal and the noise. It's been incredible. It's like night and day compared to last year.
So, is that, do you think, a response to chaos being the normal? Then the studios have priced that in, and the buoyancy's come back because the way that we saw stability has changed.
Well, I think very much so, because we were able to rely on certain norms, and those certain norms meant that we understood how it operated. The great thing is people normally don't change their spots. And in the case of Trump, the way that he managed to go bankrupt casinos was by using chaos. They were a certain bet. If you were a supplier to a casino, an organization where they always win and there is always profits, you're going to be able to feel very comfortable that you're not going to lose your money if you're a supplier. Trump actually turned that round, where he's one of the few people in the world who's been able to make multiple casinos go bankrupt. And he's done that because extraction for his need is what's important. He's not playing by the rules of a longevity game. He's playing instances. And you'll see that with the announcements that's coming out about how many peace settlements that he's done. They're instances. There's no idea of longevity. Whereas I think what people had been used to before was that it was about longevity. We started the contract. We were working on a brand. We were working on an architectural project. We were working on a digital project, and it was meant to last for a long time, and there had to be orderly conduct in it. That got disrupted. From what I've seen, it's back. And it's back, and it's really moving. There's a few studios that I met with who are still struggling, that there's gaps in their revenue cycle, and that's more just about how long it takes their clients to come up to speed. But you would have to say the world's back in order, the world's back actually making money, but there's just one country that is no longer included in the conversations, and that's the US. So the World Trade Organization, -1, NATO, -1, Davos, -1. And it's fascinating. It's like night and day. But it's really interesting to go see that confidence, because I'm doing the forward planning throughout Asia, the Middle East, and throughout Europe. I'm seeing the same confidence with the studios that I'm in touch with there. So I thought 2026 was going to be a year that was started off sluggish. It's actually started off with a bang, and almost the studio principals are saying, "Oh, we weren't ready for this." That they're
Yeah,
enjoying it, but they weren't really ready for it.
yeah. Good. Well, listen, it's only going to be good news. And maybe just talk about some of the longer term context, because obviously your program involves 16 cities. You've done a couple so far. What are your reflections on the experience of being in those cities? How are they supporting that endeavor?
Yeah, so Melbourne, in the last 6 months, has completed 2 major more than decade-long transport projects. One of them was about tunnels and freeways, joining network systems together, so expansion into areas that were close to the city but didn't have those transport corridors. They've also gone and connected up really two hemispheres of a metro system to make it work so that they will run from end to end. Everywhere I look in the world, the idea of a connected city where the development is happening around a station within 400 meters of a station, we know that's actually the walkability side. And it's really taken off. Sydney's got the same profile. Sydney is a dog of a city to get around in a car. Yet the transport links, which are both road and also rail, have actually improved to the point that they fixed up some of those fundamental issues that were holding the city back. And it's given it it doesn't feel like Sydney anymore when you're moving around on the train. You know, to go from say where the creative areas are in Surrey Hills to North Sydney across the harbour, used to be one of those. Well, you do it at the beginning or the end of the day because it was a large chunk. Now it's 20 minutes, and you're going, well, if it's 20 minutes, that's like a short trip inside London.
Yeah.
And even now in London with the Elizabeth line, it's connected the city together so well, and we saw announcements that came out this week from the European Union about the train projects that are going in to connect the cities together to create the type of lattice that we've seen China Road and Rail implement across all of China. And so there's this focus of how do you reinvent a city around transport connections? Because the car is now becoming, well, it's isn't really practical anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
really
And so people want to be able to move around quickly, and mass transit is an amazing way to go do it. So that night and day difference, both in Sydney and Melbourne, is astounding. One of the sites I went to is right next to one of the larger stations, and Southern Cross Station was redeveloped around about 25 years ago. It was around about the turn of the century. And the areas around it now have had 15 or 20-year build programs with very large sites, very large commercial buildings that have gone in there. And one of them was with the organisation Lendlease. About 5 or 6 years ago, we awarded the offices for Arup, who were one of the first tenants in that building. But a gentleman that I was speaking to, he's been working on the project for 15 years, and he's got at least another 10 years before they're fully built out.
wow.
So you go and you see, right, and this is all because of the concentration around sites that were near transport hubs. And because the transport system has got so integrated and so connected, it's now practical for people to use it. And that's a 20 or 30-year vision of how do we go get the transportation to work. And when I was in Sydney, one of the photographers that works with us, he's a Danish guy, and he was saying, "Oh, why is it that Copenhagen's got this amazing city metro system, but Sydney didn't?" Yet we were travelling around two studios to go take trophy photos, and we were using the metro the whole way. We could have been anywhere in Europe because that was exactly the feel that it had, or China. You know, it was amazing how efficient, and therefore how modern these cities are becoming, because now we have activity hubs where, you know, tens of thousands of people are concentrating around those stations, which means the vendors work well, so the retail's working well, the food's working well, and there's no cars on the road. It's quite astounding to see that change in shape in the city.
Yeah, and that city experience is benefiting tens of thousands of people every day as they work and they live and they create in those cities as well. I mean,
Yeah,
again, it's interesting to hear that comparison with obviously the short term flux that we've gone through, the medium term response that the industry's been able to find, and that buoyancy that you've talked about, plus that incredibly long term strategic development as well. So, what a week you've had on the first leg of the tour.
that's right. And this week I'm off to Shanghai. And so by the time we catch up next for the next leaders update, I'll be in Shenzhen after doing three cities in China. And I'm sure I'm going to be able to have my head just blown again, because every time I go to mainland China and I go see what they're doing, You're saying that wasn't there before. It feels integrated, it feels completed. And what they're doing is they're trying to get to the future faster, which is the name of the game. One thing before I finish, if any of our Leaders Club people aren't feeling the buzz and aren't feeling that uplift, message me, send me an email. I'll introduce you to somebody in your city because it is infectious when you start to see that momentum has returned to other people's studios.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, see you, Will.